And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to one of our episodes and you wanted more. And you came back for more. And we have more for you. We got an awesome lady on here today. I spent just a couple minutes talking to her in the pre-interview, and I already cannot wait to release her energy on the Podcaster Nation world. You guys are going to love this. So let me get a quick sip of my beverage because I'm dying over here. I've been doing so many interviews. All right, we're going to keep trying to just persevere here, guys. We're going to power through and power on. All right, this is the podcast. You guys all know my beginning. I can't not do this. This is the podcast that is about podcasters. It's by podcasters. It's for podcasters. Our guest today is a podcaster. You guessed it. This is the place where the rising tide raises all ships, where we all come together, we support each other, comment, like, subscribe, host each other on our shows, and spread the word. This is the Podcaster Nation. Thanks for joining us today. Now, we have an awesome guest, the host of Parenting Teens, Advice Redefined for Today's Complex World podcast. Please welcome to the show, Cheryl Pankhurst. How you doing, Cheryl?
I'm just couldn't be better, Rory. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. This is great.
Love that. I mean, you've already got the energy coming out. Here we go. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. She's got this awesome, like, pink, is it a wall or a door behind you? It's
It's a
just like,
door.
did you dress to match that on purpose? Because it's pulling the pink out in your outfit, too.
Actually, not my house, but I'll just say, yeah, thanks. I totally looked at the door and said, hey, what am I
Beautiful
going to wear
planning.
today?
I love it. I love that we planned that on purpose, completely. All right,
Yeah.
let's go with that. Cheryl, you are a special education professional. You've got 25 years in the profession. Clearly, you're qualified to be doing this podcast, which I love. Before we get into all that, though, tell everybody, all our listeners out there, who is Cheryl?
So, Cheryl, first of all, I'm going to say I'm a podcaster, and it's like the best thing I've ever done. I started off like you introduced 25 years in special education, so working with teenagers with very significant needs. So I spent a lot of my last 15 years in protective equipment and walkie-talkies and really trying to support our kids who just didn't know how to communicate in any other way, but maybe some verbal or physical aspects. And I just realized that I did this for 15 years and thought, oh, I'm sadly seeing some of my staff get hurt. I'm seeing kids get hurt. And is this how I want to finish my career? So I went to a private school. So I was responsible for 400 kids at the big public school, plus a huge department of teachers and educational assistants. Loved every second of it. But thought, maybe I'll wrap it up a little quieter and went to a private school where there was 300 kids in total. Nobody with significant needs like this. And I thought after 6 months, oh man, like this is like a trip to Hawaii. And on the seventh month, realized I was bored out of my frickin' mind. I am, nobody wants to see kids struggle, but when they do, that's my jam. Crisis management, thinking outside the box to support them and then supporting their parents in the meantime. And there was a lot of things in the public and private school system that just didn't jive with me, where parents just didn't feel like they had a voice. They didn't feel like they knew their rights. They didn't know how to, support their kids at school and then at home. And it's like if you have a kid with special needs, it's hard and it's scary and it's exhausting. And sometimes that comes across in school as anger, and I don't like the teachers and I hate the school. And it's all fear. Like we just have to really put our lenses on tight when we're talking to parents like that and working with kids. And so I decided I'm out of here. I love this part of it. I love to talk to parents and support them. I love to be able to help kids. Do I want to be stuck in a system that says, well, no, Cheryl, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't. And I had a principal once say to me, it stuck to me, and this was years ago, Cheryl, you just have way too much passion. You need to notch it down a little bit. And I said, this is special education, man. You need people like me in this building. And made all my career limiting moves to be principal, a vice principal, which did not interest me at all. So I thought, what am I going to do? I just want to be able to help parents and help the kids, and that's my jam. And so Started thinking about being a consultant or a coach for parents and being able to think outside the box for them. And in the meantime, about a year and a half ago, this podcasting thing fell into my lap. I don't even know how, to be honest. It just kind of fell. And I was like, oh, let's watch this course and let's do this course. And then I don't know, it just hit me like an addiction. I was like, this is my jam because, you can create all these courses for people and but it just means PowerPoint presentations, which PTSD when you're in the school system. And it just meant I don't have anybody behind me saying, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't. I know what I can say and do, and I have no filter. I have no filter on my face or my voice, so it doesn't matter how I try. And so here I am. I just started this podcasting thing and started this coaching and consulting thing, and I'm just over the moon with it. It's just the best thing ever.
I just wish you had a little less passion for what you're doing right now. I mean, what in the
Sorry.
world? Who says something like that out loud? I, I mean, when you said it, if you're on the visual, you'll see it. I shook my head like, what? Did you just say to me? Like, I thought maybe you said it wrong. I think you probably just summed up what's wrong with public education in like one sentence, just
Yeah,
right there. Wow.
yeah,
I totally get the freedom aspect though.
yeah.
Love that part of it. And I love the way you love that part of it. Tell me a little bit more about, what it is you offer in what you do, because this is a very unique, and I hate the word. It just makes me sick. Niche. Ugh, I hate
Yeah,
that word. It
yeah,
gives
yeah,
me the creepy crawlies when I say that word. But because I don't know, I'm a guy. Niche. It's a
yeah.
niche. Okay.
It's an
There.
itch.
So in your niche, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it you do, you offer? Tell me more about that.
So my coaching program is for parents. It's mainly my niche would be moms. And it is in like a 3 month kind of program where, you know, when we even talk on the podcast and we get in experts for specific issues, I'm noticing that while I appreciate all the experts, I started to really feel, even in the first 6 months of the podcast, like, okay, these are great strategies. They're great band-aids for our kids. But it really is all about moms doing the work on themselves, tapping in, seeing like, what is it that's really triggering me about my kid? What is it? Why is it I feel like I need to impose things on my kid instead of finding out who they actually are and what they love? And even in these, I don't know, you get into these master classes for people looking for their purpose, and they're all people my age. They're all people who have gone through 25 years of, oh my God, there's got to be more than this. And I feel like, can we just cut that whole middleman out for our kids? Can we let them find their purpose now? Can we see who they really are, whether we agree with it or not, and kind of guide them through that? And the only way to do that is by doing it ourselves. So there's that connection to ourselves where we are able to step back and say, hey, I need permission for this. I need space for this. I need to be able to feel how this feels for me, and then live who I actually am. And if we're doing that at home as parents, our kids never listen to us, very rarely, but they sure as hell watch us. So if
Yeah.
they're watching us do this work, that's that invisible ripple effect that comes out in our house. That's where the magic happens because we have full control over how we think and how we behave and what we love. And if we take on that control, then we are showing our kids, hey, you have your own autonomy in this house. I can guide you, I can coach you, but I don't need to control how you think. I don't need to tell you what not to do and to do. You need to be able to tap in and feel if that feels like a right thing for you anyway. So anyway, this is a coaching program. It's in like a container. It's not a one-off because it takes time to figure out what are your goals? What do you want to do? What do you want out of this life? And what do you want your relationships with your kids to look like? And the second part of it is because my specialty as a spec ed specialist is I have a consulting piece where if you need a voice in school, if you need somebody to look at a report and actually write something up that the school must follow. If you need somebody to sit in a meeting and I'm not your voice. Nobody advocates for your kids better than you do, but I'm just kind of there to turn up the volume for you so they hear you. And at the same time, teach you how to allow your kids to learn how to advocate for themselves. Because if we just keep fixing problems and sitting in on meetings without them, they have no idea how to do this later. So it's all, and then of course the podcast.
We haven't even gotten to the podcast yet, but
Yeah.
I'm blown away. I got to be honest with you. This sounds like it's in the field. That being of education. This sounds like it's not only unique, but borderline revolutionary. How have you been met with this attitude in your niche?
It's people need to hear it. And the whole coaching consulting thing is just fairly new.
Mhm.
I've had clients that have, people think they know what they want. But then when you start digging in and you start asking different questions, then they discover, oh, wow, that's not what I want. This is what I need. But sometimes we come into our relationships or our education with this like horse blinders on. And sometimes you just need somebody to say, hey, take that lens off. Here's a different lens and put that on tight and see how you view the world now. It's just shifting perspective. And it's like thinking outside the box is just key. And sometimes you just need somebody I have a 35-year-old son and a 32-year-old daughter. So it's not always been perfect for me either. This is not what I'm saying. I promise. I learned from these mistakes. But but sometimes you just need somebody, to take that zoom view, the bird's eye view for you and say, okay, let's look at all these different pieces and see if we can't put them together. And the nice thing, the most effective thing is that, like I said, you have when you see that you have all the control you of yourself and you are not trying to control anybody else because it's useless to even try. But if you have that control within yourself, it doesn't matter what the outside world is doing. You're tapping into who you are and you're showing your kids what it is to actually raise human beings into this world as they are, who they are, so they can be seen as they are.
Well, the you said the word perspective.
Mhm.
And I think that was one of the things that hit me too with what you said earlier. I don't think I've ever, I don't have kids with special needs, but I know several families that are very close to us. And so I have a little bit of experience with it. Nothing, I mean, just enough to be dangerous, probably. But I don't think I've ever heard any school or class or anybody talk to the teacher or the parents about their thinking. And so that perspective right there, when you said, you talk to the parents, like, why is this triggering you? Why is this behavior bothering you? So the parents can retrain their normal expectations to what their children need the expectations to be. I've never heard that before anywhere. Did you invent that, or is that something that
I
you picked
guess
up
I
somewhere
did.
else?
Let's say
Or
I did.
I'm good with
Yeah.
it.
Well, it feels like a natural conversation, because I just noticed when you get into these school meetings and parents are just furious, like they're just furious. And then teachers or administration, they get their backs up right away. Wow, we're doing everything we can, blah, blah. This is our limitation, blah, blah, blah. Instead of saying, I hear you. I hear you. I work with your kid 4 hours a day, but he goes home and you have 24/7 of these fears and this scariness. And now you're getting emails about graduation, you're getting emails about the sporting events, and damn well your kid is just not going to be able to manage this with the lens that you have on now. And how, like, would anything scare you as a parent more than that? No. And how does fear come out in a meeting? Anger, frustration, limitations, not knowing what choices you have and if you have any.
Wow. Like I said, I've never heard that, and so this is new territory for me to be going down as a parent. I'm an empty nester, like you. So my parenting days in that regard are behind me. A little of that, yeah. It's awful that we spend their entire lives training the people that we can't live without to live without
Yeah.
us. But you
Yes,
know,
yes.
so I'm one of the broken-hearted dads who hasn't quite gotten over it yet. I'm trying. I'll get there eventually. Got to work on it. Anyway,
Got it.
but all right, so you've got these sort of cutting edge ideas on working with special education. Let me ask you about the definition of special education because I've listened to your podcast and
Yeah.
you deal with a lot of very serious issues on your
Mhm.
podcast. Also, uh, divorces and co-parenting and trans kids and things like this.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff that a lot of people are scared to death to even talk about. You talk about it openly and freely. Now, that isn't necessarily under special education. This
Right.
is also under just sort of helping kids with things that are really tough. Am I
Yeah,
picking that up correct?
absolutely. It's all about special education is understanding how our kids learn and finding what they love more than anything and using that as a learning tool. And it's the same with anything with trans or co-parenting. Like it's meeting our kids where they're at, like really seeing them where they're at now, and then helping them guiding them through the next step, the next step, the next step in life. There's so many times you get into grade 9 and teachers or parents are like, oh, they have to do this essay and they have to figure out how to do this, stand up in front of everybody because they're preparing them for university. And I call bullshit. We are preparing them for grade 10. We're preparing them for recess. We're preparing them for the next step. I didn't get into teaching in, 1999 to say, okay, getting ready for my pension. Let's see how this goes. It just, no, that's not how it goes. And it's just not realistic. And if we truly can sit down and sit back and say, okay, who are you? What do you absolutely love? And what works for you here? Like, can we talk to our kids when they come home instead of saying, well, I heard you did this and I heard you did this and I heard you did this. Well, maybe you hate math, but you're always, doing your stats and data for your gaming. Like, who wins what. Can we import? Like, can we, right? Like, can we do what we love and learn by doing what we love? I think that's skipping the middleman of doing something for 30 years, you know, putting our kids into the workforce or the career we think they should be. And then now we have to help them recover from that. Like, why do we want to give our kids a life they have to recover from?
That was awesome. That line right there.
Thank
Why do
you.
we have to give our kids a life they have to recover from?
Yeah.
You could mic drop right there in the episode, and that'd be it. I mean, and I'd be like, "See you tomorrow, everybody."
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. I love what you're doing. I really do. And just the idea that maybe the kid's education should be, I don't know, about the kid.
Bingo.
What a
Bingo.
revolutionary thought. I'm just like, huh. And you have to go outside of the lines and have a podcast and a course and everything else in order to
Yeah.
do it without being told you can't do it. So
Yes. Yeah. See ya.
nice. I am curious because I know that you have to have, certification to be an actual teacher and whatnot.
Mhm.
When you get into that though, or once you're licensed, do you run into any kind of an issue offering a course since you have the license? And the reason I ask is in real estate, and my background's in real estate from way
Mhm.
back. If you are a normal person and you're selling a house or doing anything with it, that's fine. But as soon as you have a real estate license, well, then there's all these extra things that sort of are visited on you if you try to even sell your own house
Yeah.
because you have this license. So I'm curious with what you do, since it's education based, and outside the lines, do you run into being hamstrung or having somebody, try to outside control what you're doing because you are a licensed professional?
Well, because I have officially retired from being a licensed
Oh,
professional,
okay.
that took the chains off and
Okay.
allowed me to, you know, just remove the filters and it took me a while. I have been so, intrinsically systemized in education, and it's not all bad. It's not all bad. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I found myself even in the first few months of my podcast, kind of going and then thinking, no, I can say whatever I want. I'm the boss of me now. And it just felt so good to just be able to say, I hear you, I feel you, and yes, there are limitations in the school, but I know how to work around them, or I know how to ask for that. I know how to help you. And and even more importantly, when I'm looking at a parent, I'm like, I see you and I feel you, and let's go. Let's go. Let's do this.
Nice.
Mhm.
Great answer. Appreciate that. I didn't realize you had
Okay.
retired. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't look old enough to have retired. So,
Oh,
like, are you still trying to do? Because this isn't the type of thing I think you can do as a side hustle while you're also teaching. Seems like you might be at odds a little bit, but
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I had to make a choice, and it was financially not the best choice, but otherwise, I don't care. Like, it's okay.
Well, we'll talk about that in a
This is
minute.
so
Yeah.
much more important.
I'm so glad to hear that, though. That's
Thanks.
just magnificent for you. Let's talk about the podcast a little bit, the content and whatnot. I had a chance to listen to a few episodes, so I knew those were
Yeah.
some topics you had. Are they all interview episodes, or are they solo and interview mixed? And kind of what's your purpose with the podcast?
They started off as solo, and then I think five or six went solo, and then I, for some reason, decided to try an interview, and I loved it. I love the energy like what we have here.
Yeah,
I love how I can hear somebody who I think has a topic that I have no idea about, but I can like, oh, I can weave that into what I know. This is great. I can help another 20 million people. But the purpose is for people to, again, feel heard, feel seen, know that they're not alone in this struggle, and know that there's a way out and a way, not even a way out, a way through whatever it is you're going through. And we have really tough topics. And yeah, I come across people like, why are you talking about this? And I don't believe in that. That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to. I have my people and you go find your people, and that's okay by me, and I just want people to understand that there's a place for everybody in this world. And it doesn't matter, the struggle, there's a way through it. There's always somebody there to help. There's always ways we can talk it out. But I just want everyone to feel heard and seen and not by themselves, because there's nothing worse than thinking there's nobody like nobody's doing what I'm doing. Nobody feels like I feel like it's horrible.
that's a beautiful place to be coming from when you're doing a
Mm.
podcast. I applaud you on all levels right now. The purpose behind the podcast, the way you're doing it, what you're doing, and why. Um, Absolute mic drop kudos to you on everything that you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Very,
Thank you.
very, very impressed with this entire thing right now. Just going, man, you
Thank
go.
you.
All right. I mean, I'm a 54-year-old Italian guy, so I can't really say you go girl. It doesn't really work for me, but you know,
I got it.
it's
I
there.
got it. I
And
was married to a Sicilian for 22 years. I got you.
I'm Sicilian too. Okay, maybe
Oh,
that's why we're getting along
tangibly.
so well. You're used to people like me.
Oh, yeah. I'm not yelling. I'm just passionate.
It's
Okay.
that's a real line.
That is a real line.
That's a real line.
I heard it for a lot of years.
It, I have a little Italian wife too, so I've learned to no
Yeah.
that they might have played once, and that was the end of that story. So
We
yeah,
still have a phenomenal relationship, and I'm very close to him and all my extended in-laws. So I,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
I'm glad. Well, you don't want to divorce the whole family. I mean, if that's the case, right?
No, absolutely.
I mean, we cook really well,
Right, right.
so I mean,
And
at least there's that.
there's never like not enough food. Did you eat?
Right.
Eat some more.
Right. If you leave my house hungry, it's on you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that's beautiful. Okay, well, let me ask a couple questions about the podcast then.
Yes.
You turned to podcasting because it quote fell in your lap,
Yeah.
and I made a little note about that because That's not something you hear normally. So,
Mhm.
can you tell us a little more about how did it fall in your lap and like how'd you end up choosing podcasting as the venue?
Yeah, I was taking all these outside courses about abundance and manifestation and spirituality and kind of it was a very separate thing for me. And now it's like kind of interwoven into everything I do. And as I was taking one of these courses, this girl said, "Oh, I also have a podcast course." And I was, podcast. Okay. So me, I just, if something sounds even a little bit interesting, I dive in 1000%. So I took the course and I was like, this is cool. There's really no prep because I'm like diagnosed ADHD. I cannot sit through any kind of presentation or do slides. Can't do it. I break out in hives. So all we need to do is talk about what we love. I'm like, shit, I can do that. That's no problem.
Right.
So I took the course and talked about it for about 6 months. And my kids are adults now, as I said, but my biggest cheerleaders. And I kept talking about it and talking about it. My daughter says, "What the hell is your problem? Just get a mic and start recording." So she shamed me in a very good way to start. Yes, like
Yes.
tables have turned. Damn it, I did a good job. But
I love it.
so I just started, and Lovely, she is my editor, which is amazing that I have this team. My biggest cheerleader, along with my son, who actually once said, probably not that long ago, his buddy said to him, you know, you need to get a podcast. Like your mother has a podcast. That's embarrassing.
You're the standard now to be measured against.
Raise the bar.
Nice.
So yeah, so this is just how it came to be. And I just, I don't know what to tell you. It feeds my soul to have these conversations. And, I have an editor, so I don't have that kind of talent. But, even learning, when you think, oh my gosh, I should be farther, I should have more reach, I should have more downloads. But a year and a half ago, I didn't know how to upload anything or add music to something. A clip promo? What the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. So when you think about how far you've come,
Mhm.
good. I'm good. I'm quite happy.
I love that. I
My
can
mother
tell.
keeps saying, I don't understand. She's 85. I don't understand the podcast thing. And I said, it's okay, you're not my ideal client. It's fine. And then she keeps saying, but did you get paid? Yes, in relationships and love.
Yeah, we gotta talk about
Yeah,
that.
yes.
That's great though. Yeah, mom, I love you, but you're not my target audience. I
Mm-mm,
don't want to
no.
tell you. Sorry, but
Delete, delete.
it's great you got your kids involved though.
Oh, yeah.
That's so
They're
cool.
so fun. So fun.
And they're good at that technical stuff that, us folks in our age group are
Oh,
not
God.
great at. We
My daughter is
Yeah.
so talented. She actually said to me the other day, I sent her this Google Drive and I said, "Oh, if you edit it, does it change the editing, rights for the next person if I send it into two?" And my sweet daughter said, Mom, it's really interesting you think like that.
That's a
So
really nice way of
here we
saying
are.
you have no clue what you're doing. That's great.
Not a clue. Yeah,
That's beautiful. So your kids are polite as well. Well done.
they
All right.
are.
I have a daughter who would probably act that way with me for about 2 minutes, and then she would lower the boom.
Yeah.
She's a 32-year-old Italian gal. And she
Oh,
would
there
just
you go. So is my daughter,
yeah
32
she
Italian, half Italian.
see right. She'd just beat me
Yep.
to a pulp, and
Yep.
my two boys would be merciless with the stuff. So
I love it.
it's great that you have a little bit of grace over on your side because I know how much I've needed that at times. You talk about, the doing the podcast, getting established, what you learn along the way. You're already past the first two milestones, and you're on your way to the third one, where they start to release you more and more and more. The first is 20, and then it's 50, and then it's 100. You're at 78 episodes.
Never
So
missed a week. Never
that's
missed a week.
amazing.
Ah,
That's a nice podcast. It's 78
ah,
episodes. I mean, you're
thank you.
not new to the game by any
No,
stretch, which I love. And I was just going to say, you come out weekly, and you just said you haven't missed a week.
never.
Gotta ask, what do you attribute that to?
I would say the joy of it, first of all. I just
Nice.
don't want to miss. I know I also have learned through a lot of the, podcasting groups and schools and whatever you get on Facebook that is consistency is key. You're weekly, it's every Wednesday, first thing in the morning, it comes out. And then your 72-hour window of getting clips and promos and all of that out. I do that. And I really pride myself on having a bank just in case. So I'll have 7 or 8 podcasts. I'll do a whole slew of them and then stick them in the bank. So I usually have a few just in case something happens, but I don't think I would enjoy my week if I didn't have at least one podcast interview.
That's beautiful.
Conversation, not even an interview, it's a conversation.
That's so great, though. And having the bank is, uh, correct me if I'm wrong, but is such a nice feeling because life happens.
Yes, yes, 1000%. It sure does.
Yeah, that's one of the things I try and drive home with my coaching clients. It's like, believe me, you need to get ahead. You've
Yeah,
got to have a couple. And I even offer my folks, I'm like, just do an episode with me on something. We'll
yeah,
talk about whatever. And I don't care if it takes you a year to put it out, just keep it in reserve so that you
yeah,
never don't have an episode, And
yeah.
that's so awesome that you went right there. You're like, I have this bank with these episodes. That's huge, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And it forces me too to do some solos. I don't always love doing the solos. Yeah, I keep it short and I'll pick something that's really hammering at me at the moment, but I find it hard to talk to myself. Sometimes I put a picture of the kids on my screen
Nice.
or
I like
it
it.
just, it's just, I find it really hard to talk to myself. But when I have somebody in front of me, it's no problem. So, but solo episodes, I think, are also very important. I really got caught up in doing interviews more often than not, and really noticed that a solo really brings out the expertise in you. You have people come on who are experts in their specific field, but people need to hear that I'm an expert in what I do and I have something to say as well. So I think solos are important, just not quite as much fun.
That's so funny. I hear both sides. I hear people say, I love the solos, but I just don't like being an interviewer, type of thing.
Mm,
So
yeah,
um, clearly you took to being an interviewer. So
yeah.
what is it about interviewing that, kind of gives you that, makes it your jam?
The energy for one, I always make sure that I've gotten to know this person or met this person even for a few minutes before to kind of guide a focus. Because I could talk about kids and teens for 12 hours straight, wouldn't go well. My editor wouldn't be happy. But I just find the energy and I find that people have I love hearing people's stories. I love that. And you don't always, you see them on Facebook or you see their podcast, but you don't get their story. And so one thing I really started to do as well is when they give you the bio, and I'll do a very short introduction, but I find the energy of someone telling their story is huge. And that's where the conversation goes. Like something will trigger me in their bio. I go, wait a minute. I didn't know you were in jail. What the hell? Let's talk about that. And that has happened. Like,
Oh yeah.
so I think that's super important. Like I find, no judgment, but I find when people read a bio, like they did this and they did this and they wrote this and they did this, it's great. Like accolades are amazing. But when you say, oh, and then I wrote this book and then I did this and then I like it's just a whole different vibe.
Nice. So you prefer the conversational style, like what we're doing here, the
Yeah.
conversational style, as opposed to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
list of questions and act like they're natural, and you can't believe you have to actually say this on
Yes.
on the air.
Yes.
I like that. Very good. Okay. I sometimes ask people this question. I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
Have you ever had that instance where you've interviewed somebody and it's just gone so awry that you actually didn't end up publishing it?
One out of 78 and made the mistake of not having that little meat for the vibe. And I was interviewing someone. I like to call it a conversation, but it was turned into this interview where they had an agenda in what they wanted to say and what they wanted to promote. And so it became like, oh, hey, what color is your car? Oh, I really like steak. And it just like, I don't even understand what that answer was. And I kept trying to like rein it in. I know who my audience is. I'm rein it in. And it just went, I thought my ears were going to start bleeding because it just didn't end soon enough. And I thought, you know what? I'm the boss. This is not going anywhere. This is going right into not even the bank. This is going into, the archives where I never have to look at it again. Yeah, it was awful. It was
Wow.
awful. Yeah, have those little vibe meetings before. Just trust me on that one.
I'm glad you brought that up too. Let's go ahead and go there. Some people absolutely swear by having a pre-interview meeting, like a separate
Mhm.
meet. Like we're going to have a call, we're going to talk, and then at another time we're going to have the interview. Is that what you do, or is it a hybrid of that? Or I'm just curious how you operate your podcast.
It's definitely a hybrid. I have a lot of podcast promoters that will try and hook me up with somebody. And honestly, it has gone very, very well for me. But when I do have that, I always meet them before. Number one, because I want to make sure that the focus is on what my listeners want to hear. I want their questions to be answered. I don't want to go down, it's for them. The whole thing is for my listeners. I also want to promote what they're doing, and it's very reciprocal for sure. But I want to make sure that we're reined into a specific topic or at least an idea of a topic. So if I've never met them before, if I've never seen their work, then I definitely do a pre-interview. If it's somebody I've seen on, I belong to a lot of these podcast guests, I want
Oh
a
yeah,
guest, I need a guest sort of thing. Um, and they usually go into breakout rooms where you get to know people. As soon as I get the vibe, then I'll message them, say, okay, let's do this. This is fun. So, and it's all for me, it's less about their expertise and more about their energy and how they can help my audience, how they can answer some questions for them.
excellent, excellent. That's everybody does it a little differently.
Mhm.
I was just curious because you brought that up a couple times about matching the vibe.
Yeah.
Can you determine that sometimes just in written communication, or is it strictly I got to speak to them or I got to see them?
Yeah, it's usually I have to see them or speak to them, or even if they have another podcast, I'll just listen to their podcasts like
Oh,
I
okay.
listen to yours.
Yeah,
I need to like feel it, so I know where I'm going.
fair enough. Fair
Mm,
enough. Everybody's got their own thing, so
yeah,
I can appreciate that.
yeah,
All right. Okay, podcaster type question again.
yes,
What do you do to? I mean, I know that you don't edit. You have someone else doing that for you. Lucky.
yes.
So very, very good move bringing in your kids. Um, how do you promote your podcast?
I have software I actually use called Minvo Pro, and that uploads the entire video. And then I'm allowed to go through, I usually do like 60-minute clip or 60-second clips, sorry, and try and pull out those 60-second clips. And then they can automatically go into all the different platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. If I release on a Wednesday morning, I will do clips, 3 or 4 clips per day on all platforms right to the like weekend so that people are really seeing it, and Instagram stories. And then I'll do LinkedIn articles, blog posts, things like that go along with that as well.
Do you have a website that goes along with your podcast that you work on also?
I have CherylPankhurst.com as my website that covers everything. So you see my coaching, my consulting, and it has links to the podcast as well and links to some of the blogs.
I was going to ask you that later, but I'm glad I got it out now. So CherylPankhurst.com, that will be in our show notes for
Thank you.
anybody to click on, of course. All right. Um, Tell me about the course that you offer in terms of like how it's put together, what the pieces are, because I think I missed that part earlier. I want to make sure we cover that.
It's 2 very short courses that I offer to parents. One is free, and it's more about how to start these really difficult conversations with your kids. And the other course is an extension of that. And it's picking out all the different topics that you might run into when you have a teenager, how to start the conversation, how to create the environment, how to be able to say, oh, you know what, this is not the best time for me. Let's back off. Let's come back to it. But those really, gender identity, co-parenting and divorce, like the really tough subjects where we just sometimes, we just don't know how to start. And if we don't know how to start and we can't rehearse how it might go multiple times, then you might get caught up in this, well, that didn't go well. Screw it. I'm not going to do this. Or the kid slamming the door and leaving. And, so it's those really tough conversations that we quite often have to have with our kids, not even just as our kids. It could be a teacher, it could be any kind of caring adult who needs to have these conversations to kind of support the kids.
Excellent. Thank you for letting everybody know that. And I do apologize for not asking you that earlier.
No
I
problem.
just got so into talking to you about all this other stuff that the word course, it just triggered. And I went, I didn't ask her about the makeup of the course. You knucklehead, go back for a minute.
Oh, good.
All right. So good. I'm glad we got that out there. And that's available on your website also then.
It is.
Good, good.
Absolutely.
Good, good. All right. So you've got your editing team done. You've got your promotion all set up to go out and stuff. So how has monetization gone for you? You,
You know
if you're
when
on the
somebody
audio
says,
version, you just turned around and looked out the door.
yeah, exactly. You know when somebody says, oh, if you could do anything in the world and not even get paid for it, what would it be? Here we are.
Okay.
Here we are.
Okay, I got to know. You got a system for the editing. You got a system for the promotion. You got a course.
Yeah.
Well, how come? Do you have any idea?
No
Have you
idea.
just not looked into it? Are you against it or anything
I
philosophically? I mean, that's fine.
not against it. Not against it at all. Bring it on.
Wow. Okay.
My mom would be so proud.
I remember your mom going, "Are you getting paid?" So,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
You're at 78 episodes. So, I mean, you've got you got the base. You definitely have the chutzpah to get this thing going. So I'm just curious. I mean, have you looked into anything like that, or is it just something that hasn't come up yet because of all the other work you've been doing?
Well, I don't, I think I don't know, you don't know what to ask or
Hmm,
what to look for. Like, I honestly don't know. There's that missing link.
got it.
Um, because that would just be golden, obviously, like the little golden egg. But yeah, no, I actually don't know if they come to you or you go to them or what happens. I honestly,
Gotcha. I understand. I'm glad that you said those exact words, to be honest. And thank you for being so honest about this and just saying,
yeah.
hey, no, I really haven't. Because I think sometimes people are out there and they're not monetizing and they feel like they're the only ones in the world not monetizing.
Mm.
Like, oh my God, I can't monetize my podcast. I'm some loser or something. And it's just not the case. You actually just hit the nail right on the head. People don't know what question to ask. I love that. That's beautiful. And people think it like Field of Dreams. If I build it, they will come type of thing.
There you go.
And that just isn't how it works. But I love
Damn.
that you thought that. And I have to break the bad news to you now on the air. All right, that's not it. But we'll talk later.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
for
Cool.
sure. But thank you for being so open about that. I
Yeah.
think it's going to help somebody out there to go, hey, maybe I should ask the question.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
don't
a good place to
quit.
be. Don't
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
quit. Oh my
No,
gosh.
don't ever quit.
Especially at 78 episodes, you're so close to 100. And then you become what's called the established podcast. It's like, that's a huge, bell mark to hit.
Yeah.
So you're
I'm
right
excited.
there. My goodness. Can't wait to see it. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. I always ask my one corny question. I think you've heard this before. So, what is when it comes to podcasting, what is the thing that you love the most about doing your podcast? And
Mhm.
what is the thing that you just hate the most about doing your podcast?
I just love having the conversations. I love getting on screen and bouncing ideas back and forth. I love being able to celebrate what someone else is doing in their world that helps my world. I just love that whole reciprocity. I love it. What do I hate about it? Not monetizing. Let's clarify that right now. Show me the money.
Right on. I was wondering where you're going to go because, like if you family feud this thing, top five answers on the board, editing is always
Yeah.
in the top
Yeah.
five answers. So,
Yeah.
but you don't have to worry about that. So I'm like, I wonder what she's going to say. All
Yeah, there
right.
you
But
go.
monetizing is a pretty
Yeah.
good number too. All right. Gotcha. 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 All right. Let me ask you this. Is there anything, I'm going to end with, asking you for a piece of advice. So,
Hmm.
don't go there. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to make sure you bring up or point out about what it is you do and why you do it?
I just love it beyond anything else I think even just the podcasting, I love it beyond anything I've done for a long time. I love how I can just show people or just be who I am and show people what it's like to just say it, just do it, just whatever. Like don't hide. Nobody's going to the grave with you. You're going on your own. So if there's something you want to say, if there's something you feel, you got to just do it. You just got to follow it. And eh, money or no money. That's secondary, literally secondary. This just feeds my soul. And I think people just need to, if you're even thinking about something, if you're even kind of thinking about something, it's because you're supposed to do it. So give it a shot.
Nice. Nice. All right, that almost sounded like advice. So we're going to go ahead and hit you with the final question here as we kind of
Okay.
wrap this up. And Cheryl, thank you so much for sharing everything you've shared and bringing all this to everybody.
Thank
You
you.
have a fantastic story. I'm thoroughly impressed with everything you're doing,
Oh, thank
and
you.
you've been just a delight to have on the
This
program
is
today.
this has been an honor of mine. Honestly, it's been so
Thank
fun.
you so much.
Yeah.
Let me leave. I'm going to give you the floor, and let's leave everybody with this. You've got 78 episodes. You've learned some things. It's not, at this point, you've been around for a minute.
Mhm.
So, what's your best advice to anybody who's not quite where you are in the podcasting world? And it can be about anything that you think is relevant.
Just start. Just start. Pick up a mic, pick up your phone, pick up anything. Just start. Nobody gives a shit about how perfect it is or if you have the right music or if your hair's right. Doesn't matter. If you have something to say, just start and don't quit. Just keep going. Because somebody out there, if you're hiding something that is really important to somebody else, you are doing the public a disservice by just sitting in your living room wondering if you should start. Somebody out there needs to hear what you say, and it's not fair if you don't tell them. So just start, pick it up and start.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And I wish that I could end on that, but I'm just now seeing a note out of the corner of my eye, and there's something that I just woefully missed here. You are being honored for something, and I didn't touch on it. So before we leave, we have a celebrity here, folks, and I want to make sure that, you know what, credit is given where credit is due. Tell everybody real quick what you're being honored for and when, because that's just awesome.
Oh, there is a 50 over 50 podcast awards, and I am in the top 50. So there's hundreds of nominees, and it doesn't like I have a huge Italian family that are going to vote for me. It's not that's going to happen this time. They actually put the podcast in front of professional podcasters and judge you on sound and content. And of course, my famous editor, Gabby Greco, gets full credit. But yeah, so that's tomorrow night. So this is recorded. So anyway, they have in-person presentations, the red carpet, all in Florida, but they're also doing a live stream. So I'm just I'm blown away. I'm excited, and the fact that it's 50 over 50, as in age, is amazing. It's amazing. I'm really proud and honored and excited. I'm so excited.
Too cool. Too cool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, today's the 27th of March as we record
Mhm.
this. It's going to be a little while before it comes out.
Yep.
But on the 28th of March, we will have found out,
Yeah.
right, where you land in that top 50. And, let me just tell you ahead of time, congratulations, because even being
Thank you.
nominated for something like that is just really cool.
Thank you.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
it's a great podcast she runs. It's Jen Hardy, and she's amazing. So it's fun to be part of that community.
Really neat. Really neat.
Thank
All
you.
right. Host of Parenting Teens, Advice Redefined for Today's Complex World, Cheryl Pankhurst. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. It has been my great pleasure.
Folks, this is another fantastic episode of The Podcaster Nation with yet another fantastic podcaster. Folks, Cheryl brought up a lot of really cool points today. I hope that she let you know that you're not alone. I hope she'll let you know that anybody can do it. And all you have to do is just start. Love that advice. Love that advice. And love that advice. This is the place, folks, where we are about podcasters, we're for podcasters, and we're done by podcasters. This is the place where the rising tide raises all ships. So keep sailing.